The Straight Talk Morning Show. My name is Andre Hill, your host, and on the Straight Talk Network. So we have a full panel here today. We have Mama Kelly. She is our supervising editor today. So she's going to make sure we don't get out of line and say the right thing. She's not going to talk much. We have up in Detroit, our chairman of the United Aboriginal American Republic. How you doing, sir?
Well, Grand Rising, everyone. I'm doing fine. We got a nice fall day. The leaves are changing colors, putting a smile on your face. My favorite time of the year. Not too hot, not too cold.
Yo, man, y'all sent some of that cold weather down here to Florida. Y'all can keep the cold weather, man. I think it was 50 degrees this morning.
What is my temperature on here? I don't even see it. It usually registers.
Probably below freezing if we're at 50.
No, it's not freezing, that's for sure. It's probably a lower 40, so.
All right. Well, y'all can keep that cold weather up there. I left up north, living up north, and I don't miss the snow, the scraping the ice off my car. I don't miss anything.
I hear you.
All right. So also we have I don't want to call him a special guest because he's like I'm adopting him. He's like my own child, man. Chief Yahson. And Chief, where are you located?
Peace. I'm actually in Kentucky.
Okay. All right. So what's the weather like and what's your state of mind today?
Man, it's been bad this last couple of weeks. This is the first piece of sunshine we had in about a week. So happy. I'm supernatural, as you like to say.
There you go. There you go. That's the place to be. All right. So also we have our Juris Doctor, engineer, Mr. Utility Man, all around. Andre Jr. What's going on, man?
Hey, I'm good. I'm good, family. Hey, I beg to differ with you about some of that chilly weather. I feel like we need just a tad down here, so I can at least pull out my leather coat from time to time. I got garments I ain't never got a chance to wear down here because it's too humid most of the time. But I'm good. I'm good. In good spirits. We making a lot of good progress with the development and the building of the tribal nation and government. So yeah, I'm feeling supernatural as well.
Hey, all right. That's the place to be, man. That's the frequency to operate on. So we have quite a few topics. Some of them we talked about in our live feed, promotional feed yesterday. But it starts out how Luciferian Negroes can reverse the curse of their contracts through a collective union. We're going to talk about that in detail. Also, one piece that I talked about in the promo yesterday, but the psychology behind our Caucasian cousins, and I wrote Clear People, and why they choose to serve Lucifer, and who's really behind Lucifer. So part of this show is going to probably be a 3-part show because we're going to get right into the meat of the disruption and the challenge of our species and how we're going to overcome it. Because the 3I, man, 3I, I believe that 3I is an enforcer. And I'm going to leave that to the chairman. I think it's here to help us. All of those still lingering in the dark side, your time is up, and it's time for you to get on one side of the fence or the other. Now, the other side, the dark side, you're going down. So it's just the way the universe is designed. So also, we have our chief Yahson on. And Andre Jr., so the young generation is waking up and they realize that this whole system that we're working in was an artificial system based on deception, lies, and conquest, murder, rape, and kill. And so they're like, I'm not going along with this because these souls just came back. They experienced this in the previous life, and so they're coming back and going like, y'all still doing this? So these young souls are starting to join up. The chief he's attracting a population of young conscious people. We're coordinated and we're bringing them under one nation that is going to raise the frequency so that we can maneuver out of this slave system. I've been on this planet 73 years. There's been some good times, but just to be contained all the time and limited to being a slave, working 40 hours a week, I don't like that. Every time I try to write a business plan, 66 years of experience, 4 years of college, 2 or 3 years in a law firm, and I can't get a decent proposal approved that's going to work versus something that's going to shortcut me. So it's no use continue to linger in this madness. So we're constantly working on how we're going to get out of this. But one of the key issues here, and I'm going to be kind of all over the place because I'm focusing in, or we're focusing in on our melanated people that got deceived. We're focusing in on our Caucasian cousins who are thrown into this situation, and who's behind this. Everybody thinks it's the Caucasian people. No, there's a whole nother group that's behind this. So we're going to go into that. But, the chairman is going to be leaving out shortly. And so he's going to give the update on the 3i Atlas, because I'm getting these downloads. It's keeping me up all night, all day. It's like overwhelming instructions every minute, every second. I had to go take a sedative, herbal sedative, just to slow my mind down. I'm like, I need a break. But it's broadcasting. Everybody should be picking on it. But Chairman, so is 3i is clear of the sun, and now the downloads are intensifying. What's going on, man?
Well, it's not clear of the sun yet. It won't be until probably the middle of November. But we know for sure in December, you'll have backyard astronomers, being able to view it. But there's a lot of talk going on that with the 3i, it's just not a comet. It's clearly not a comet, because a comet by now, knowing that it's past the what they call perihelion, the center of the sun, the closest that it's going to get, it's went past that stage right now. And far as the supplementation, the particles that should have been sort of flushed off of it because of the speed, that hasn't happened, and what's happening right now is they're finding out that they did get some good pictures of it before it reached perihelion, but they're not telling us. China has went quiet, Hubble has went quiet, and it's just really strange. But they're, probably using this government shutdown to keep things a little quiet too, saying that, well, we don't have the force, people aren't working, but it's really eerie, very eerie. And I was thinking when they were saying that this 3i Atlas, it didn't have this tail, but it had a force in front of it, and they could see it through the Webb telescope, and they thought, well, why is the tail in the front? Well, my assumption is that it's some type of an advanced defense system that's got a radar, and it's traveling so fast. Last week I made a mistake. I said 130 miles an hour, but it's 130,000 miles an hour. And at that type of speed, you have to have some type of radar to clear the way for you, because if it hits something that's destroyed, it's going to destroy itself and whatever it hits. So, they're not telling you that, but it's under assumption through some of the programs that I've been listening to that they know it's some type of system. And I say it's a defense system because traveling that fast, you know, you need to have something projecting your way, you know, and it's been traveling through the universe for so long, it's got to be something very unique. But we're getting to it, you know. It's gonna be a lot more revealed. We just have to be patient because it's given us time elements of when the best time to see it, but they also detected that it's going a slower pace. So, you know, comets don't do that. When they're going into a solar system like ours, you know, we see the comets, it's at a speed, and the only thing it might do is when it get past the sun and it's slingshot around, it'll speed up. But as far as slowing down, you know, that doesn't happen. So, you know, we just got to brace ourselves because we're in store for a very informative future, you know, and I think that when it gets to the clear side where it's past the sun and we can see it, it's going to be coming towards Earth. I feel that way very strongly. And like I say, we just need to be patient. But those that want to pick up on the latest, you know, you go to YouTube and just ask for a 3-eye atlas, and it's all over the YouTube. In fact, I was talking with my brother and my nephew, and they're even into it. I said, wow, you know, so it's out there.
All right. Well, we may come back to that, you know, during the show. Hey, Chief Yahson, what's your take on this 3-eye atlas?
Honestly, whatever it is, I believe it's our best friend. You know, speaking on us, you know, us copper individuals, you know, us enlightened, highly intelligent, very athletic, very regenerative individuals. You know what I mean? As we look through the course of history, even though our people have our our hands are relatively clean in the last 400 or 500 years. So you know, I live with no fears, and I live with wanting the most information that can be provided and excitement, you know, into what's coming.
Ooh. All right, so hey, Junior, you know, we want to get an update and an interpretation from different personalities. You know, so what do you? I know you're getting downloads. Your brain is linked to mine. Your grandmother and I had that same connection, man. And so what? Are you getting any different downloads from 3-eye?
Well, I feel like this. You know, not to get too nerdy about it, right? Not to get too nerdy about it, but I think we felt a lot of, or at least me. Let me speak for me. I think I got a lot of downloads from this celestial event, even prior to it being observable to most humans on Earth, right? Because at this point, it feels like a good coast mode, right? I feel very comfortable and at peace with where we are, especially in our tight collective on you know what direction we're heading in and what our successes are going to be. Because I just see everything coming into fruition. I feel everything coming into focus. And the way what they describe, whether you know, if from a religious perspective, they would say, you know, God works in mysterious ways. But you know, the mathematics that is the alignments that are happening.
Yes.
I can't. It's like I see. I've been studying cosmology for 25 years. It's a vast science, a lot of numbering, a lot of measuring, but I understand it pretty well. And I can just tell you this: the math of the Most High, the math of the universe is almost unfathomable, right? Almost unfathomable. And so, but I can. It's kind of like in that movie, The Matrix, to where you know Neo started to see the codes appear. It's kind of like that. You see what I'm saying? And so, you know, looking at it from a cosmological lens. But even though I'm capable of, you know, like perceiving that, I still am just in awe and amazement on how things line up. Talking about, you know, stuff that happened now that'll give revelation to something that happened 2 years ago, 6 months ago, yesterday, right? That I can't make this movie up myself. You see what I'm saying? I was like, you know, it's exciting. And also too, I'm looking forward to see the rest of the revelations, the rest of the dialogues that we're gonna get from these celestial events. I think this 3-hour atlas is, let's say, wave 1, right? I think there's some more to come. I think there's some more to come, and I think like Brother Chief Yahson was saying, like Chairman Terrence was saying, we just gotta get in tune, you know, give ourselves the opportunity to be still at some point, or just be aware and pay attention and not be fearful, right? And not be fearful. Like Chief Yahson said, our hands are relatively clean for the most part, most of us, right? In comparison to so our karmic debt to credit balance is pretty good. You see what I'm saying? We pretty good. So, you know, I think we just need to be sitting back and just continue on our righteous journey, and you know, we'll reap all of the fruits of everything our ancestors went through, right? Everything we've been through in this lifetime, right? From you know, me and Chief Yahson's generation all the way up to y'all's. I am just what's that saying? It's a good time to be alive.
Yes,
Time to be alive. So I'll land that plane right there.
Okay, so hey man, start loading up that last video I sent you. So where we are now at the critical path, and it's still, you know, trying to come outside of the great deception, and we need to get to the core. You know, that's one thing I have trouble with the medical industry. They treat the symptoms. They don't get to the core of the disease, what's causing the disease. And so, you know, I'm speaking about our people. I call them Negroes because that was the classification of a society, you know, as part of an enslaved system. But they are our brothers and sisters. You know, they got nuclear, they got food. That's why they have an out, but they can't get access to the out. And when I say the out, or out from the contracts, you know, the Luciferian contract, they can't get access to the out unless they practice or make some necessary adjustments. You got. So okay, so this video, it's gonna disturb a lot of people. So a lot of people can't handle it. We're gonna lose them, but that's okay. You know, the universe got a lot of time for you to work out your indifferences. But it's gonna get to the core group, and we're not gonna get it all in this one show. We may have to do a part 2 to this. But this is the part where our melanated brothers and sisters that got on the wrong side, and also the psychology behind our Caucasian brothers and sisters whose souls originated in melanated bodies. They just lost their privilege, you know. And so we're still providing therapy on how those souls can reincarnate in the next life in a beautiful melanated body. And that's where we lose a lot of people that still go into those Hebrew religious societies. But hey, you know, like we said, the universe got plenty of time for it. But go ahead and run that video.
And most of the ones that we have dealt with, I would consider to be a benevolent species. Okay, but there are some that are malevolent, and I've come across a couple of those, right? And I don't want to do that. But they also believe that they're entitled to something because that's the way they see Source.
Yeah, the Dracos really think that they are supposed to be gifted everything, from, you know, the best health to owning everything. Right, exactly.
And you're not going to change their mind. Because it's so ingrained in them.
It is.
And I know they do a lot of genetic manipulation, and they have some species that they've developed within their own race that are terrible for whatever purpose that is. I mean, they believe that this third dimension belongs to them, that it is their empire. And so in saying that, obviously, we have not come up against something like that on this planet before. And so we should be aware that that exists out there. I mean, whatever current wars they're having right now happen to involve the Draconians. And I'm not sure exactly when it happened, but they make mention that they have allied with the serpents. And, you know, we knew them in our history as Nagas. So apparently that's made things worse because they too have a mentality that everything belongs to them. So now you have two species that are willing to war against other species that have a mentality that everything belongs to them, that we are entitled to nothing. We are, in fact, probably part of their food chain rather than anything else. And so that's not a place where we want to be. And a lot of times when we talk about that, they make us aware that, you know, there's a reason that they came to us and that I went through this journey to understand about Omicron Commonwealth is because there's a great evil that's coming. And, you know, I mentioned in that first episode about being taken into the Draco constellation.
Right.
And there was, you know, everything was roiling and on fire and just, you know, lots of violence. And what they're saying is that since they've allied with the serpents brought terrible weapon knowledge to them that they didn't have before. And so they say that now there's what they call a mega planet that's capable of being mobile, and that it's armed with, you know, antimatter weapons and hyper tunneling, and so they're destroying whole planets. And,
right.
Yeah, right, and they're raping the resources, and you know, just they don't care about civilizations anymore. You know, I can do without them. I can enslave something else. That's their mentality. That's our worst nightmare. And so, when they showed me this vision, I saw great ships coming out of it. You know, and I saw them, you know, picking up resources and taking them off someplace else. I don't know where they were taking them, but clearly they were claiming what was left.
Okay. All right. So let's deal with this. All right, there's an African tribe known as, is that the Dogons?
It's a Dogon.
They understand and have communicated with the reptilians. Also, there's a Caucasian born the same year I was, David Icke. All of these people are aware of the reptilian agenda. But the reptilians are one of many species throughout the universe. And just like in the human civilization, there are good people and bad people. Well, they're in the reptilian, they're malevolent and benevolent, benevolent reptiles. There are some reptiles that are so advanced, they are not in the same mode of these physically 7 feet, 8 feet tall reptiles who I believe, you know, live beneath the surface now. And these reptilians have control over the malevolent reptilians who are capable of destructive things, you know. And so what we have to do is take a look at the why. And the why and how and the when. All right, so throughout the universe, there is a sequence of tasks, or I can't get the vocabulary together, procedures in developing a planet. And at one point in the seeding of a planet, the reptilian component is required, because this is a transition from the water to the land, you know. So at some point, I'm gonna fast forward this, at some point when it was time to end the reptilians' reign on the planet, they either was forced with a choice to leave the planet or live beneath the surface. And in this particular case, they were forced to live beneath the surface, and they lived there for thousands of years. So once again, their pineal gland, not living in direct sunlight, calcified. So that means they turn pale. All right. So we're dealing with a situation where I'm gonna call them primitive. The primitive reptiles out of discord was vulnerable to being influenced by outside source. So we're going to keep this in alignment with the human species. So we fast forward to the amoeba coming out of the water and going through the reptilian era, which we know as the dinosaurs and all that sort of thing. If we deal with that, then the human species has developed over millions of years. The mitochondrial DNA of the humanoids, the ones with melanin in their skin designed to live on the surface, is millions of years old. But this particular species, at one point, we reached this adolescence age between childhood and manhood, and we start smelling ourselves. And we felt we didn't have to follow the laws of the universe. So we start violating the laws. And so we have to take responsibility, that we broke the laws. That's why we're getting this ass whooping right now. And so the guardians of the Most High allowed those reptilians to come to the surface. And they did it through what we call the Lilith effect. The reptilians that were beneath the surface that became humanoid. I know I'm skipping over some stuff, but I'm trying to get it all compact. That became humanoid, that they used that sperm and injected into the Lilith effect, which is an Aboriginal woman, the original human woman, melanated, beautiful, symmetrically designed for the surface, impregnate her, and that's how we got this subspecies of these Caucasian bodies. But in the beginning, all of the souls, a majority of the souls were operating in these melanated bodies, and we did different horrendous things to each other. So that's how I see us getting to this point. Now, I know this, like I said, this is going to be a 2 or 3 part series, but I want to get some feedback from based on what I just said. I want Chief Yahson, I had a HVAC man, so you got to work with the old brother. I want Chief Yahson to give me his thoughts on that process of getting us right here where we are right now as young adolescents who broke the laws, and our parent, the Most High, issued a decree to they need an ass whooping. And that's why, so that's where the Caucasian bodies were created and different ones lost their privilege and so on. Hey, Chief, give me your take on that.
So you spoke on an excellent point, right? And that point was we got what we deserved. You said we start smelling ourselves. And, I'm 29, right? So on the later years of my 20s, I'm just about to cross over. I could say in my early 20s, I started smelling myself. Everything my father taught me from start to finish, which I found the most success in life. I decided, whatever, I got here on my own. I know what to do. Fast forward. That's my father's house right there. You see him back home with Pops. You know what I mean? So just like I fell, bumped my head, and the Most High gave me everything I wanted out of this life. I left my father's home and I wanted to see what everybody else was talking about. Man, this look exciting, fun. What's up? And I got what I deserved. So speaking on that, yes, they were allowed to come forth and take over everything, because even the effects of karma, right? It was their time, right? They technically deserved it. Look what they were going through. They had the lack of sun. They had everything that we had and took granted. We didn't. It was just child's play for us. He gave it to somebody who deserved a chance to see what it was like to have it. And regardless of what they did with it, the laws of the universe state that if there is a hypothesis, right? That hypothesis, the experiment has to go forth. What happens if their people inherit everything that we've given to your children? You've asked the universe a question. Boom. Now we got to find an answer. So now we are literally living the answer, right? Living the revelation and experiencing everything that was told to our ancestors even before it happened. So great point, and I 100% agree with everything you've said.
Hey, man, thank you, boy. Hey, Chairman. Now, when I hear something like that coming from a brother that just got here to the planet again, return, it gives me motivation. Okay, I need to stay on this mission. What do you think about that?
I think is wonderful. I just love to hear the young people come alive, come of age, see things from a universal perspective and not doubting the vastness of the universe and the potential of man, you know, and it's necessary. When I was younger, I used to think like him too in a lot of ways, but sometimes I couldn't express myself, especially when it came to talking about extraterrestrials. Oh, he's crazy. What's wrong with him? You know, like I said with the cover of my book, one of my best friends' mother said, "Oh, he wrote a book and put a bunch of rocks on the cover." And she didn't realize that those are rocks. Planets are rocks and water and little other materials too. But yeah, when young people are getting in the know, it just shows you that there's hope for the future, and just waiting on it all to just transpire. We do it all we can and pass the ball to them, and then they take it further. That's how life advanced, from one stage to the next. But it always take that younger generation to advance it a little bit further, because 200 years ago we didn't have cars on this planet, but we got them now. I'll land that plane.
So, Chairman, hats off to you, because you're a part of you were born in the generation just same as mine, just a few years ahead, that shun this kind of knowledge and understanding. But we really need to encourage more people from our generation. Go to UAARnation.org, and we have a donate page. Go donate some money. It's going to these young brothers. It's going to these young people, building self-sustainable communities, getting out of this capitalistic matrix that was designed for one cause, one purpose, and that was to enslave us and give us that ass whooping. So when does the ass whooping end? When we wake up and come together. Hey, man, right. So Andre Jr., he's been around me all his life. But he has a slight different take on the reptilian. I mean, it's not a whole lot out of alignment, but this is a beautiful thing, because we are like on opposite poles in terms of how we deal with things, but we're working for the same mission. What's your take on that theory, man?
On the reptilian theory.
Yeah.
So, all right. So me and you have this discussion quite often, behind closed doors, Pops. If I can nutshell it, do we have a long history that we can even prove in artifact and stone of us having a relationship with some reptilian entities? Absolutely. And I'm only prefacing that for people who may be listening saying, where are you getting this reptilian thing from? If you take a look at any civilization and you go back about 4,000 years, if that civilization has a history that can go back that far, what you're going to find is most of them had some type of spiritual system or religious system that included reptilian entities. We look at the Chinese, they've always been referencing
dragons,
and I forget their term for the dragons, but y'all know what it is. Now they have I think it's Shin or something like that. I forget what it is exactly, but it's there. If you pay attention to the Dogon in ancient Africa, right? They've been passing down their oral history and story of communicating with amphibious and or reptilian entities from the Sirius star constellation.
Yes.
If you take a look at Mesopotamia, right? You take a look at going back as far as the worship of the Anunnaki at the time. So a lot of people don't understand the Anunnaki were reptilians. If we need to prove that on a different show, I'll do that for you. Even if you take a look over here, even in the Americas, we've had a relationship with the Kukulkan or the Amaru winged serpent. Mm-hmm. India, the Nagas, right? So it makes you wonder, where did we get this reverence for reptilians from in our let's say recent ancient time, because if we go back, 4 to 5 to 6,000 years, that's relatively recent in comparison of our entire history on this planet, right? So we ask ourselves, so when did this reptilian thing insert itself here, right? So we've been having discussions on this show about it. If y'all want to get some more information about it, just go look at some of our earlier shows titled anything about reptilian. We kind of get into it. But my thought process isn't too far off from yours, Pop, like you said, but this is just my elaboration on it. The original melanated beings on this planet are reflective of and a part of the family of the galactic melanated family. Meaning, from a universal standpoint, when you think about any celestial body that's going to be orbiting what we would call a sun, right? And the organisms on the surface of that celestial body, aka planet, if they're going to be on the surface, they're going to develop this melanin. That's the substance that gives the interface between that light source and that solid cold celestial body, which is going to provide life to it, right? So our humanoid design of having melanin is just as old as the universe itself. We've always been here with this design, and so an example of seeing it out in nature is, if you go take a look at nature, you go take a look at most of the flora on this planet. You notice that it is green. It's green because that is its chlorophyll. Its chlorophyll is its version of melanin. You take a look at most of the flora on this planet, most of the plants, it's going to be green. Why? Because it needs to interact with the sun. It needs to have that interfacing with the sun. So saying all that to say this, our design has been around for time immemorial. Now, when other species began to develop, like the reptilians, I think they went through their own process of smelling themselves too. Right? They've been around for millions of years. But I think this as well, if you take a look at reptilians in particular, especially the ones that we can observe here on this planet, y'all notice they ain't like mammals. They, we can have them for pets, but if you don't feed them, they're gonna fight you or bite you. Right? They're gonna fight you or bite you. They don't have a natural benevolence in that soul source, like I guess what they in scientific terms they would say warm-blooded organisms have, right? So imagine that reptilian cold-blooded species evolving over time. Yeah, they probably advanced in logic and rationale over millions of years, and you can imagine what type of technological advancement they made with that. But the question is, where is their soul? Where is their heart? Where is their emotion? Where is their compassion for other life? Just like that lady said in the video. Now, I was watching that video we just showed a minute ago, and whether or not I can validate, because I ain't gonna lie, I ain't get a chance to do some research on that to see who that lady was. I ain't gonna lie to you. I was looking at her, she got braids, she got a military jacket on, and she had black nails. I was like, okay, who is this lady? But I think for the most part, what she was conveying was somewhat valid, and the narrative of knowing our relationship with these Dracos / reptilians. Now, again, me being a cosmologist, aka an astrologer and an astronomer, I've had the opportunity to view, being fortunate to be able to decode celestial movement and the energy that it puts off in its cyclical fashion, right? You're talking about a unfathomable math that the universe works with. You're talking about an extremely, extremely, extremely intelligent system that that we just in this form somewhere just scratching the surface on understanding. But so even this planet that we're living on, if you understood what this planet is doing from a cosmological perspective, you understand like how much of an intelligent design that it is. No coincidence in its design. No coincidence design. Like this planet Earth that we're on was very calculated and divinely placed where it is. Like it ain't no other way to explain that. And so once you realize that, you realize the magnificence of the cycles, you begin to say, okay, we can see what type of evolutionary phases that this planet is going through over time. Our people, we've been calculating this for a long time. In other words, we know cycles so well, just like we know every year we're going to have a winter time. We know winter times that are come on 30,000 different year cycles, right? We've been doing that. We got that information passed down, right? We've been doing that. We've been hijacked of the information, and then the information was hidden from us, but it's in our DNA. We remember now. So saying all of that to say this, yes, are we in a season to where we are reaping what we have sown and past eras? Absolutely. And all these reptilian or reptilian associated entities energetically allowed to insert themselves during this time in order to test our grit, our righteousness, our integrity, our morale, our experiences. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely so. The story of how it happened, yeah, it's interesting. We're going through the movie about it. So in other words, like you say, you got reptilians that had to go underground for whatever reason, and they had to be allowed to let's say physically vulnerable humanoid species to have the surface for the sake of being able to have experiences, yeah, and so forth and so on. So yeah, the story narrative that happened, yeah, and on all of the trillions of planets that are out there, and even inhabitable ones, you can imagine the different storylines that's going on all of those planets. But the point is, the evolutionary cycle is happening on all of them. Everybody's out there living life in all of these multiple dimensions and multiple circumstances, and we are contributing to the experience capacity of this universe and the Most High. So that's my take on it. Not too far off from what you're saying. My point is this, though. So we understand that, okay, because this is how I look at it. If we already knew this time was coming, that means we deliberately signed up for it. I'll look at it from this perspective. We're the children of the Most High, right? We're the children of the Most High, and during particular times, we're so advanced to the point to where we get bored. We live in times of peace for so long that we desire and or require some struggle. It's similar to being complacent for so long to where you get to the point to where you might start developing entropy. All right, if you don't use what they say, if you don't use it, you'll lose it. So I think we're in a time where we have to hit the gym, had to face some struggles, face some challenges, so that we can be reminded or better appreciate those times of peace and tranquility and advancement.
All right. So we got another 15 minutes. So I want you guys to talk about the nationality. But what we're dealing with is the fear factor. So yes, these the primitive reptilians that live beneath the surface that will venture up from time to time, the reason they don't just come out and overrun us and just eat us all up is because there are more advanced reptilians, and the guardians of the Most High will bust a cap in their asses with a laser that they don't have, the technology that they don't have. So they have to do it sneaky. So you don't have to fear them as long as you're righteous in your heart. So to my Aboriginal or my so-called Negroes that are entrapped in this Luciferian system, it was set up by these primitive reptilians. They entrapped you. To my Caucasian people that realize, the ones that voted for the Trump agenda, they starting to realize they got pimped. It's okay. You know, people get tripped, fooled. That's what they say. Suckers born every minute. So it's okay as long as you learn from your experience. So to the Caucasian people, the reason you serve Lucifer, they knew when they designed your bodies that you couldn't compete with the original humans. They knew that you were going to have to serve the Luciferian agenda, you know, in order to get equality. But look at the trappings. You got the murder, kill, cheat, rape, lie, and eat babies' blood and flesh to maintain your membership. Don't get pimped out, man. So that's the objective here of the psychology behind why the Caucasian people keep buying into the illusion of white supremacy. You know, because it was used by these primitive reptilians who was allowed to give you this ass whooping. They were allowed to give us this ass whooping at this season. So if you're in a Caucasian body, that means the first phase, you lost your privilege to the original bodies. So why don't you start working on getting your privilege back so you don't have to be hating on the original humans whose mitochondrial DNA is million years more advanced than where those Caucasian bodies were only created 6,600 years ago. So the reason you're acting barbaric is because you're trying to survive by any means necessary instead of using that high frequency spiritual mind. To those Africans, and not Africans too, we're all melanated people all over here. Right here in my hometown of Tampa, the dark side was trying to pay off this brother to get on the city council, and they giving him money and so on and so on. My people here in Tampa finally woke up, and they decided we ain't going for that. We're gonna vote for this young sister, Nia Young. She won the city council seat, and now melanated people all over the world needs to get behind this sister because they're gonna threaten her to force her to compromise herself so they can continue to come in with the same BS they're doing over in Gaza, taking land. And we'll get into that discussion at another day. But so we want to deal with the Caucasians and the Aboriginal who've now been classified as Negroes that's buying into the system. So when to the Negroes that got snared into this system, this Luciferian system, you are going to have to sacrifice to get out of these contracts. Now, you can either sacrifice to get more money. You're going to have to sacrifice one of your children. You're going to have to either turn them gay or something weird, some weird crap, or you're going to have to sacrifice somebody's life to keep your membership. Or you can give up these material possessions and start moving in the direction of joining a collective like ours to protect you. You have to rebuke the Luciferian agenda. Now, it's going to be dangerous, but it's up to you how dangerous it's going to be based on how you come into our fold and start working on the process of reversing that contract, because your contract was developed under duress. All right, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to let Chief Yahson and my son come in on the thing they're doing with Nationality. Chief Yahson, what do you convey to the young people to get them to understand why they need to get involved with their nationality?
Well, you muted, brother.
My bad. So honestly, I'll put it like this. They come to me. You know, when I throw it out there, I'm like, hey, you know who we are, correct your status. They have knowledge that they come to me with. I have people come with other processes that they've done that just didn't work. I'm not going to shout the other processes out, but the main thing I let them know is you have a home, right? You have your right to your identity, self-determination, self-government, right? You have the right, not only the right, but you have the materials here to rebuild another Wall Street for our people, and that's what our people are interested in. You know what I mean? They're interested in finding out where their last names lead to. And this is what I offer. Hey, They told you your last name belonged to Massa or this person or that person. No, your last name is on every indigenous census across the land. So tell them, explain that. You know, and matter of fact, while you telling them, don't even worry about being alone in the fight, because we're gonna go ahead, welcome you to the cookout, grab you a plate, it's some food over there, a couple of drinks, you know, go see Chief Andre, he over there on the grill, he want to talk to you, because I know you done talk to me about you want some land and etc. There go Chief Andre Jr., Chief Andre Senior, you know, the principal chief right there, you know, go ahead, chill, and I'm gonna go talk to everybody else. You know, and they love this process because they feel like they're at home finally. We're not trying to get them out of all of their money. You know, we making it so everybody can afford it, you know, and if you can't afford it, you know, just talk to us on the side, you know. We a tribe, we a family. You know, the process ain't to take all your money because you're gonna need that for your family, for your tribe, for your kids, you know. So this is a family process because like we are celestial beings who've been scattered, you know. So through hundreds of years, we finally coming back and we're excited about it. You know, so I'll land that UFO right there.
Hey, Junior.
I like that one. I like that one. I like that
Yes,
one.
I love
it. Chief Yahson is absolutely right on everything that he stated. Just recapping it. For one, we know how to set up a tribal government properly. We did that, and we know how to nationalize you properly. And just to be transparent on it, this is how we got to this point. I was looking for, as the chief jurist of our tribal government, I went out looking for other Aboriginal tribes to treaty with, right? And I reached out to the Republic of Iroquois, and I found their website. I looked on their website. Their website looked a lot like ours. I said, "Oh, okay. Well, they look like my type of people, right?" And so I reached out, and the person who responded is Brother Chief Yahson. We had a talk. We didn't even have to talk for long to understand that we was on the same wavelength, right? We have to. We outlined what what our capabilities were, what we do for the people, and long story short, our processes were mergeable, and so we did that, and. And Chief Yahson said to me, he said, "Bro, I got a huge following." And main thing he said to me or the most important thing he said to me was, he said, "Hey man, the people trust me though." Right? He said, "The people trust me." And so, you know, I need somewhere to direct them to where, you know, they can be protected properly, nationalized properly, and so forth. And long story short, we built a relationship and a rapport based on that integrity and trust, right? And so, you know, we already had the platform ready. We already had the platform ready. We just put it together, and we just working for the people now. We just working for the people. So just like Brother Yahson said, you know, we're spiritual people. You know we're scattered all over the place, and we know what our circumstances are, right? And so, listen, I know that you saying that, you know, hey, the young people are getting in, but look, we are nationalizing people 8 to 80, quite literally 8 to 80. People are coming to me and they want their whole family nationalized, their whole family, right? And I have an orientation. One thing that people say is, I've never seen a process to where, you know, I get the opportunity to talk one-on-one with the people that I am nationalizing with. I said, I get to talk to two young brothers of high morale and transparency, right? When they come to me, it's like, in other words, it's like I'm like the last stop on the nationality process. When they come to me, they're already on a high coming from Chief Yahson, already on a high, right? And they come to me, and I just make sure that they maintain, you know, that high is maintained, that genuine feel of like, yes, we are the family, we are your family, and we already understand if you didn't got this far and we already on the same mental wavelength and the same spiritual wavelength. All we want to do from here is just make sure that your status is done correctly, so that you don't go out here trying to jump through too many rabbit holes, end up on dead ends, and have to turn around after you spent your resources, right? Because again, we understand what our circumstances are, right? So even when the people come to me, they say, "Hey, I can't do it like this right now, but can we work out this?" I'm completely open to that. I'm completely open to that, because right now it's not, the money is not as important as the galvanization of our people. Money is not as important as the galvanization of my people. We're not greedy. The only thing we greedy on is making sure all our people get to the cookout. That's the only thing we greedy on. Like we want all of the family who are looking for this mission and purpose. Yes, we sending all the flyers out to y'all. Yeah, we greedy on that. But other than that, we're following through in this process to where you're getting proper protection. You're getting proper identification, you're getting proper information on who you are and what type of abilities, political abilities, that you have in this system right now, adjacent to this matrix system over here, right? Adjacent to that, until we get to the point to where we do not have to rely on that, that system that we know we can't trust anymore, right? That we know we can't trust. So I'll land. I am coining that for you, bro. Landing that UFO right here. You feel me?
well, what you two brothers just stated, the collective, the galvanization, that's where we get our protection from. Mm-hmm. Now, I look at I have a lot of friends and loved ones in Jamaica, from Jamaica there. And I'm looking at the devastation. And so, when things like that happen, you have to examine, and I know a lot of my Jamaican brothers and sisters, they were enslaved. As a matter of fact, it's believed that Willie Lynch, who wrote the original How to Make a Slave document, was from Jamaica. So they were forced into praying to a man-made frequency that's self-serving to that man, to a human being. So I don't know if this is a reckoning time for Jamaicans to take a look at, who they're praying to, but I do know this: the more people that sign into this frequency, we're not praying to no man-made frequency. We're tapping into the guardians and the power of the true Most High. And it has no name, no sex. It's the catalyst of all life in the universe. So when we tap into that source, you want to build a true barrier, a force field around your island, around your family, your loved ones. That's the force that's going to protect you. But as long as you praying to man-made gods, you're going to keep getting these challenges and these ass whoopings. And I don't want to be in a joking mode, because it's a lot of devastation down there. And my heart goes out to Jamaica. But if it happened for a reason. So then you need to go back and take inventory of something ain't working for us. There's a power more powerful than what created that hurricane and drove it over Jamaica and slowed it down to 5 miles an hour. There's a power greater than that. But it ain't in these religions. Okay, so come and get with UAAR Nation. We're not pulling together no scam, no scheme. We know when the numbers come in, we get the power and we can change this matrix for the sake of our children. Hey, I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna land that UFO right there. Yeah, hey, I know the chairman had to sign out. Yeah. Hey, man, Mama Kelly she didn't come on and say, wait a minute. Our supervisor, so she's sitting back listening. We appreciate you, Mama Kelly. And on that note, it's at the hour. Hey, Junior, go ahead and take us out of here.
Yes. Hey, brother Yahson, Chief Yahson, hey, pleasure and honor brother. We appreciate you being here. And hey, anytime you want to come back, just let me know. All right, but this has been the Straight Talk Network show. As always, family, we love y'all.